Alright, today we are doing a in-depth character study on Gideon Offnir. So, for just reminders' sake, we're going to go visit him real quick, and then we will do a little bit of a storyline related to him. So, y'all probably don't remember this guy. He just stands outside. He never speaks. And then we have Gideon here.
You. What is it?
The Academy of Rhea Lucaria lies to Limgrave's north, towering over the mist-laden lands of Liurnia. Renala is queen of the Carian royals, who govern the Academy, and her great rune dwells within the egg she so dearly clutches.
So, at first, this guy was real grumpy towards us, basically saying, hey, you only get to stay here, you're just a visitor. But after we killed Godric and took his rune, he's been very helpful and actually sort of serves as a tutorial character almost, giving us like hints and stuff. I'm having a lot of stuttering today, so we'll see. Hopefully it clears up in a minute. Or it freezes. Huh. Anyway. Yep, so last time we were kind of just sort of wandering around Liurnia, sort of getting used to it. This time let's head west and see what we can get into. We've mentioned these spirit callers before. I don't think they're going to have a dedicated episode. There just isn't enough on them, but I do think they're important, and I think we should be paying attention to them. At some point, I will talk about them a little more, at least. But they can summon up these spirits of the dead. Notice they're also blue and have 4 arms. A little like the witch Renna, who we met at the very start of the game. I've been playing the original Dark Souls, so that control scheme is similar, but not identical, so I might have trubs. Especially since it's been a little while since I've played any Elden Ring. Here we have another poison swamp. I think if there was something important about that Ash of War, I'd remember it. Skill of Ancient Warriors of the Erd Tree. Hold shield aloft to imbue yourself with golden power, granting momentary invincibility. Yeah, so sort of juxtaposing the Golden Order against what we're about to see is interesting. It doesn't have to be. I don't know if that was intended, but I am. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. We can see something pretty horrible's happened here. All the bodies hanging. Notice when this guy bleeds, he bleeds silver instead of bleeding red. Unless they're, they're hostile. I think canonically, all these dudes are, mad or insane or whatever. But it still makes me super uncomfortable to just come in here and keep, like, murdering them. And here you can see, like, just a pile of bodies. And Nepheli Loux, we met, she helped us take down Godric. Well, really, we helped her take down Godric. We really cheesed that fight. But she is the adopted daughter of Lord Gideon. So let's see what she has to say.
Oh, it's you. Well, what do you make of it? What's happened to this village? I witnessed a sight much the same in my infancy. The oppression of the weak. Murder and pillage unchecked. A waking nightmare made by men. Put this, and though the suffering cannot be undone, I can still mete out justice. Justice to the oppressors. Let the scars I carve remind them. I am Nepheli Loux, warrior.
Okay, the line I accidentally skipped was, but now I am a woman grown.
But this time, I'm a woman, and though the suffering
Okay,
justice to the let the scars I...
Yeah. So continuing to talk a little bit about... Oh, crap. Yeah, and notice again, the blood is a different color than you'd expect. It's this like silver white. Larval tear. We got one of these. Remember the there was a noble in Limgrave. There's no reason you would remember this, but there's a noble in Limgrave. And when we attacked him, he turned into one of those enormous rune bears and tried to murder us. And the description is core of a creature of mimicry known as the silver tear. As much a substance as it is a living organism, material required by the amber egg, cradled by Renala, queen of the full moon, to birth people anew. Being born anew, basically is a respec. So, yeah, it's got this sort of silver sheen to it, and it's considered this both like a substance that can be worked and a creature, both at the same time. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Gideon, even though we're standing in, you know, this literal site of, like, just absolute horror. Gideon was introduced to us in the intro as Gideon the All-Knowing. And he was buried in a casket along with, like, hundreds and hundreds of ears. He prides himself on knowing everything that's going on, and when he talks to us, he talks very condescendingly. He's explaining, you know, he has all the information. We don't have all the information, so he's going to explain it to us. Another of his titles is Gideon Offnir. Offnir is another word for Odin. The Greek, the Norse god. Also known for, also a god sort of knowledge. But anyway, let's move on and we'll figure out what's going on in this village. This village is done for. Please, even if it's just you, old Albus, hide well and still your breath. Okay. This is one of the things that took me longer to find. Some things I had to look up. This one I never had to look up, but it took me a couple tries to find it. And there are a few clues that it's here, so... We'll get it in a little while. First, let's see what's over here. Okay, and then here in this village is also the crystal sword. Let's look at that for a second. A sword fashioned from pure crystal, a deed impossible for a human. Enwreathed with powerful magic, its attack scales with intelligence. The inscrutable crystallians have but one clear purpose, to safeguard their crystals unto the end. One theory posits that they yearn for the return of their creator, who will carve for them new brethren. During the week I took off because I had too much going on, I had the opportunity to look at a lot of DLC speculation, and I think that creator that is mentioned there might be extremely important to the DLC. And note that the Albinurics have this like incorrect blood, like it's silver instead of I didn't know I'd hit that already. I didn't mean to use that. Like it's silver instead of red, and they're in possession of this substance that could be used to create life. And then they're in possession also of the crystal sword, which refers to another sort of created life form. Okay, this is our first encounter with a perfumer, and I hope we get a good look at it. Note the fire. Good lord. Oh, cool! He dropped his cloak. That is great news. Okay, so let's look at his cloak. We might want to wear his cloak. No, it's actually worse in every way. But we still need to look at it. So note the tabard on the cloak has these two snakes entwined around a tree. Those two snakes are a big part of the DLC trailer. They accompany the main enemy that's in the advertisements for the DLC trailer, whose name is Mesmer. So here we have it. Robe worn by depraved perfumers, the embroidery on the apron is itself a curse upon the Erd Tree. These heresy-inclined perfumers imbibe their own spices to alter body and mind. Their slow descent into self-destruction is what earned them their name. So it seems likely that these guys are taking on earlier iconography. They're taking on oh shoot. The icons of earlier blasphemers. So likely they are not part of Mesmer's gang per se. They're just taking on his iconography because they also are enemies of the Erd Tree. And we're going to see a huge section later that does that same thing, where it's people who came along later taking on earlier symbols of blasphemy. We also got, and yes, we are going to make progress eventually, but I want to look at all this stuff. This Mikkela's Lily, a delicate water lily of unalloyed gold that has started to fade and wilt. Material used for crafting items exceedingly rare to find, and this one actually is exceedingly rare to find. A flower signifying faith in the Halig tree, thought to be beloved by the Imperium Mikkela in his youth. And note, that is a water lily. This is Trina's lily, which we've seen a lot. And note that they're the same. They just have different coloring and symbols. I mean, coloring and effects. So yeah. Mikkela has been here. Mikkela is clearly being tied to Saint Trina in some way here. Darn it. I really could have used the extra healing. That's fine. We're gonna have Nepheli Loux win this fight for us too. Again, I'm using the golden summons whenever I see them. I like that as part of the story, that these characters sort of accompany us and help us out along the way. Which is a good excuse for me not to have to be any good at this game, but it's fine. Now this fight is a reference to Dark Souls 1. There is a part of Dark Souls 1. There is a boss battle in Dark Souls 1 that's frankly sort of infamous, where oof. Man, I've got to get better. There's a fight in Dark Souls 1 that's frankly kind of infamous, where basically they lock you in a room with a guy with swords like that, and then two of those dogs, and the dogs sort of stun lock you, and then the guy with the swords jumps on you and murders you. and there's really nothing you can do about it, and it's awful. It's just a terrible fight. It's just not good. But it is considered to be sort of a classic. So I guess that's a reference to that. But note that they put it out in an open field instead, because the fight as it was kind of garbage. Okay, let's try it again, but better this time. So there you go. What you do is you have a summon stun lock them, and then they can't attack, and then you can do whatever you want. Okay, so let's look at the Crucible Knot Talisman. There's a lot of lore in this area, actually. I'd forgotten how important this area was to sort of the storyline. Is this going to be something massively important? No, not really. Okay. So let's look at that Crucible Knot Talisman. A talisman fashioned from a bony knot that embodies the aspects of various creatures, said to have grown on the human body long ago. Reduces damage and impact of headshots taken. A vestige of the crucible of primordial life. Born partially of devolution, it was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but it is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced. So, yeah, notice that this guy was called the Omenkiller. Remember last time we did that, crypt that was just full of omen. This guy apparently was out hunting those. But for some reason, we very rarely see the Omenkillers near Omen. We see them often hunting lesser beings like Albinurics. Let's see what else we can find. And they're also often accompanied by perfumers. I don't know if that's going to be relevant or not. But, yeah, let's see what else we can find. We also have... Did we get an Albinuric blood clot? We got 3. The thick, coagulated blood of the Albinurics, material used for crafting items. Albinurics are life forms made by human hands, thus many believe them to live impure lives, untouched by the Erdtree's grace. So, again, we have this idea that the Golden Order sort of removes a whole bunch of like people from being considered like valid as people. And let's check the Miranda powder too. I don't remember quite what it says, but it might have something interesting. pollen used from a man-eating Miranda flower. Throughout history, perfumers have prized this extremely fragrant form of Miranda pollen not yet scattered into the air. So note that the image on the Miranda flower appears to be a golden tree, like it's pollen. I'm not sure what to do with that information other than just make note of it.
Please, no. Dear me. I haven't a clue. No secrets lie with me, not a one. Oh, please leave me be. Wait then. You're not one of them? Well, what a relief. Oh, goodness me. I am Albus, an Albinoric. As you can see, we're finished. The whole village is finished. The cursemongers have destroyed everything. No one that remains has their wits about them. I beg you. Would you look after this medallion? You must keep it out of the cursemongers' hands. And if you should meet the young Albinoric Latenna, then please give it to her. A chosen land awaits us Albinorics. The medallion is the key that leads to the city. It's only a quaint treasure for we who cannot make the journey. But for dear Latenna, it is needed to fulfill her purpose. My legs will soon fade, and with them my life. Alas, this is the immovable fate of all Albinorics.
So yeah, one important detail about the Albinorics is that these Albinorics, the men at least, well, both actually now that I think about it, these Albinorics, their legs give out with time. Okay, let us go visit with Gideon and see what he has to say. So there's our friend Ensha. Notice that with the gravity magic, notice that. Oh shit! That might do it. Notice that instead of the two fingers, we have the throne here. Where did he go? He got stuck behind the throne. That is hilarious. Shoot! That'll probably do it. Notice it says great enemy felled there. The name Ensha is from the name of a Mesopotamian deity. Not a whole lot on sort of what his whole deal is, other than that he is very, very ancient. So remember that at the beginning of the game, Gideon told us that this was a safe place and that we could let down our guard. And here we have a whole bunch of armor. Let's read what it has to say, because this is a really interesting item description to me. A helm graced with gold human bones, worn by the unspeaking adherent of Sir Gideon the All-Knowing. It is said that the bones belong to an ancient lord, the Soulless King, the Lord of the Lost and Desperate, who was known as Ensha. And they all say the same thing. Okay. This absolutely... The idea of... Oh, I don't want to talk to you. This whole Soulless King, idea could be referring to a character who we've already discussed a little bit. It could be referring to Godwin. But it doesn't seem to be, because they describe him as ancient. So it almost seems as though this ancient king had something similar happen to him as Godwin did. If so, that's the only reference to Ensha or the Soulless King we've got that isn't a reference to Godwin in particular. It's just part of the lore that is missing entirely. And this is sort of interesting. In the first Dark Souls, there's a ring you can get called the Ring of the Evil Eye that refers to sort of a monster that Artorias fought. And then in the DLC, you actually meet the monster. He's the main villain of the game. So FromSoft's team, and Martin as well, tend to write a lot of background and then include just hints of it in the game. So I'm wondering if Ensha, not this guy who we fought, who's just someone who sort of stole Ensha's bits, but Ensha himself is an important figure for the DLC. Anyway, actually, I was about to say that's enough rambling, but actually I want to look at the weapon as well. A horrific weapon made of a hardened skeletal arm, wielded by Ensha of the Royal Remains. Fitted by placing one's hands into the fist grips until they dig in. O clinging creature, a king relinquishes not the hand. And again, there's this idea that there's some ancient being that our Ensha stole these parts from. And that there's more to the story than we're getting. I don't want to go on and on. There isn't anything else in the game about Ensha. I think we're going to see more of that expanded in the DLC. I think that's going to be a major part of the DLC, actually. If it follows the pattern of, like, the first Dark Souls.
You. What is it?
Oh, my apologies for that nasty business. Ensha got rather ahead of himself, it seems. As his master, I'd like to express my regret. But now, Ensha is slain and gone. Finished. Forevermore. Ah, yes. By way of apology, allow me to tender some advice in regard to the half of the secret medallion you possess. Find the Albinoric woman. She hides in a cave to the west of the Laskia ruins, which jut from the mist-shrouded lake of Liurnia. She knows the location of the medallion's counterpart, I'm sure. She hides in a... She knows the
So yeah, I love that. Where Gideon clearly just put a hit out on us. And then he just refuses to acknowledge it going forward. He's like, okay, look, Ensha messed up. Sort of implies Ensha messed up by not finishing you off. But then we just go on about our lives. And he continues to be a really helpful source of information. In a sense, he continues to tell us information that he wants us to know.
Ah, you. Please, leave me be. It's pathetic, I know, but I need to think. Ah, you. Please. It's pathetic, I know, but...
Okay. Something has really rattled her. As you might expect. So let's go ahead and find the Albinuric woman. And figure out what it is that has Nepheli Loux so upset. We aren't going to make great progress on this this episode, but it's been very lore heavy. I forgot how lore heavy, and I was still expecting it to be pretty lore heavy. So we there's a lot of stuff we needed to talk about, from the Albinorics to the royal remains to Gideon and Nepheli. Notice these crystals jutting up from within the lake in Liurnia. I don't remember exactly where this cave is. I know it's somewhere around here, but the actual details are escaping me at the moment. I don't remember if it's under here or if it's further back in the second sort of landmass in this area. Here it is. That didn't seem super fair, but okay. Okay, to be fair, I just did the same thing to that guy, so... Again, this is another one of these caves like the one in the first one in Limgrave, where we found the swordsman stuff, where it's clearly been designed intentionally, sort of from scratch, to tell a little bit of a story. Here we are still in the part at the top where sort of these demi-humans have settled. And note all the crystals again. The fact that this whole area of Limgrave is just filled with crystals. Wildly important. There isn't a revenant in here, is there? God, I hope not. Forgot I don't have a parry shield equipped.
Foul tarnished. What do you want? I told the all-hearing brute that I possess no such medallion. Or have you come to take more from me? Was my other half not enough?
Oh. Do you speak true?
So old Albus entrusted his medallion to you. Then I've no choice but to trust that this was his dying will. Let's try again. I'm Latenna. An Albinoric, the same as old Albus. My apologies for my coarse words earlier. I presumed the worst. seeing that you're another tarnished like that all-hearing brute. I hope that you will forgive me. The medallion's better off in your hands anyway. Would you consider doing me a great service? I must go back. There is something I must do, even if I must say farewell to my wolf, Lobo. Will you show me the way? To the land of Omenkiller's haylick tree. If you accept, I would gladly apprise you of the whereabouts of the medallion's other half. Thank you kindly. They say the other half of the medallion is beyond the Forbidden Lands, north of the Erd Tree, in Castle Sol, on the mountaintops of the Giants, accessible by the Grand Lift of Rold. Then I suppose it's time. Farewell, Lobo. My faithful wolf. My better half. I will go with the Tarnished, so that our journey will not have been in vain. Forgive me, Lobo. Call upon me when needed, and I will fight at your side.
Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell. Used to summon the spirit of Latenna the Albinoric, a rare case of one who chose to become a spirit voluntarily. Latenna was renowned as a deft magic archer, but having lost her beloved wolf companion Lobo, she cannot move from the place where she was summoned. So, again, the Albinorics of this kind do not have functional legs. And hey look, it's a St. Trina lily for some reason. So, I mean, we get the story here. She mentioned the all-hearing brute twice. And Nepheli came back from her revenge quest downtrodden and just, you know, despairing. This, in order to find the location of the medallion, Gideon murdered that whole village. Or his followers murdered that whole village. He came here, he questioned Latenna as to the location of the medallion. She wouldn't answer, so he murdered her wolf, which was both her transportation and her beloved pet. Bad dude. Bad. Not a great guy. And of course no one's going to ultimately care because the Albinorics fall outside of the Golden Order. They aren't considered to be true life forms, so it's okay to kill them.
You've already heard. Indeed. It seemed the whelp harbored suspicions, so I had no further use for her. Honestly, what's a man to do? A determined plebeian is more wicked than an omen horn, quite frankly. I suspect that's just what the Queen wants. A dose of ambition to incite the Tarnished.
Ah, you. Please, it's pathetic, I know. So you know already, do you? Right. It's true. My father cast me out for indulging my emotions, forgetting the mission, punishment for offing his pawns. Lord Gideon has offered me guidance all my life. I would have done anything for him, to place him on the throne of Elden Lord. And yet though it was not my intent, I betrayed him. And I can no longer trust in Father. To think he'd order his men to enact such tragedy. Where is the justice he purports in that? He once told me that if he became Elden Lord, he would never allow the downtrodden to be cheated ever again. Was he simply lying to me? No. How could I say that? Father has always given me his guidance. And now, I've lost it. No, how could I say? Father has, and now